Hello everyone. It's been a little while since I've posted a video, but the end of the semester turned out to be pretty hectic, and this is the first time I've been able to sit down. Also, we went on a little bit of a vacation, which is really what I want to talk about today, because anytime I travel, I want to look at the place I am. I'm going through my stomach. I eat quite a bit when I go places, but also from the through the lens of the things that I really care about, right? So I made sure I had some good coffee, went to a pipe shop, and got pretty deep into some literature, history of literature, and the place we went was actually New York City. My family's been to New York City, every one of them but me. I've been all over the world, to Paris, London, places throughout Southeast Asia, but never to New York City, and it was a treat. One, there's a lot of U.S. history there, right? We went and saw where Alexander Hamilton and his family was buried. Which is right in the middle of New York City. We also went and did the whole museum thing, looked at a few museums. My wife is very much into bakeries, and so we had a lot of good bakeries, but at the same time, at those bakeries, we had some really good coffee. So that's not a problem for me. You don't have to twist my arm to have me eat a pastry or two, as you can tell. But particular to this channel and what we find interesting in this channel, I did enjoy quite a bit of really good coffee at the different bakeries. Not any one stood out to me. I didn't go to any of the quintessential coffee shops, although that'll be, I'll save that for the next trip. The one thing I really liked and really enjoyed about New York City was the fact that what was number one, it's diversity. And coming from Texas, coming from the South, everybody says how rude, people would be in the North, and people would be in the city. Obviously grew up rural, right? That's not the case. I mean, the interesting thing, and one of my favorite things about New York City, was the fact that nobody really cared what other people were doing. Nobody cared what people were doing outside of the social norms. Everybody was just kind of accepted as being part of the city, and that was great. And I could stand in one place and often hear 3 different languages being heard, and while that might be a negative for some people, for me that's very much a positive. I really, really enjoy diversity, and New York City was full of it. They embraced the natural areas, which you may not expect out of a giant city like that. But coolest thing about New York City was the history and the fact that there's ties to important literature. Now, first thing I'll talk about is this really cool pipe that I ended up picking up. I went to Barclay Rex, and I'll talk about Barclay Rex first, and then we'll talk about the pipe. But I went to Barclay Rex, which is a 115, well over 100-year-old establishment. Not at the site that they are at, but in New York. It was founded by a pipe maker, and it still hangs on to that tradition. When you walk in, it feels like an old tobacconist. It doesn't necessarily feel like a cigar shop, which there's nothing wrong with a cigar shop. But for me, when I make that connection to tobacco, connection to pipes, it's a more of a nostalgic feeling, and I really like the kind of the old world feel. And this certainly has that, and they've and it's by design. They did this on purpose. My understanding through talking to them is that the shop is now owned and run by sisters, and in fact the person that helped me out, her name's Leanne. She's one of the sisters. She was amazing. Knew a lot about the pipes and pipe tobacco, and it was just a great experience. And I recommend that if you find yourself in New York City, make a trip to Barclay Rex. It's just down from everything else you want to go see, right? It's just down from the Wall Street scene and all of that. Great trip. I did see there's a big wall of tobaccos, a lot that are, they're not just your run-of-the-mill Cornell and Deal tobaccos. They had some things from Samuel Gayworth, from Gayworth and Hogarth. They had some Rattrays, which is one of my favorite one of my favorite tobacconists. And then they had their own stuff. And one of the things that I picked up from them, which is their bestseller, is Maiden Lane. Right? This one's been tinned. It comes in a Ziploc bag because it's bulk. They do their own. Blends, and this is a great little smoke. It's really heavy with the Latakia, but it's got a nice. It's got a nice, just general tobacco flavor. It's something I can have very regularly. It is very similar to a number of Virginia Oriental Latakia blends, so it'll probably just be part of the mix. But I try to pick up, something from every brick and mortar that I visit, and this was a good visit. The pipe that I ended up picking up was actually, it's made in Brooklyn. Okay, it's a Fisher pipe, and he's quite an artisan. I looked at a number of pipes that they had there of his. A lot of you are familiar with him and his work. This one, I like the fact that he does actually date and has a stamp for, it says Fisher, New York or NYC 2024. Gorgeous little apple, perfect size for me. It's a nice pipe, and it's a great thing to remember this trip by. And that's one of the things I've been doing when I go on trips, especially with the family, is to stop into a tobacconist and buy a pipe that, if it's not a shop pipe that's actually made by the shop, something that's made nearby. So this is one that every time I smoke it, I'll remember this trip, and I hope to meet and visit with the pipe maker sometime in the future. So that was the extent. One night I was able to go sit out in Brooklyn and have a nice boulevardier at a outdoor bar, and smoke my pipe, and it was a really nice experience, kind of late in the evening. So that was great. From the standpoint of pipes and tobacco, I had a great time. The real beauty of New York, though, is how deeply steeped it is in literary history. So walked around one of the places I certainly wanted to visit was the Chelsea Hotel. I didn't go in, but I walked around the outside. One of the reasons is, there's a lot of history there. Andy Warhol, the whole bohemian New York scene. The thing was built in the late 1800s, like maybe 1880 something, I believe. But it with the wrought iron, the red brick, it's just a beautiful sight. But one of the reasons that I'm kind of drawn to it is one of my favorite poets ever drew his last breath there, and that's Dylan Thomas. And I picked up a little compendium of his poetry. But after supposedly a night where he had 18 alcoholic drinks, he basically went into an alcoholic coma, and while he didn't die at the Chelsea Hotel, he probably drew his last breath there, right? So do not go gentle into that good night. If you haven't read it, read it. It is an amazing poem, probably right there in my top 2 or 3 poems ever. It's one of those that I go and read regularly. So there's a really great reading of it by Martin Sheen on YouTube. If you get a chance to look that up, that is it's a very powerful reading of that poem. But but if you haven't read much of Dylan Thomas, you should. And the reason that the Chelsea Hotel has, kind of such a history is because for a while it was a relatively inexpensive way that artists who often weren't like flush with cash was able to go visit. Right now it's kind of a boutique hotel. It's outside of my price range, but through much of the mid 20th century, it was a place that artists could afford to go and stay. There's I think we associate it with music a lot of times. I mean, Sid Vicious died there and supposedly most likely murdered his girlfriend there. There were suicides. Bob Dylan wrote pretty much an entire album there. Leonard Cohen's song Chelsea Hotel is iconic. It's associated with Janis Joplin. There's just so much about that place that was one of the spots that I absolutely had to go visit. So I took some pictures, but it is one of those kind of iconic places in American literature, which is kind of funny because I showed you a British author, but it's very iconic. And also along with that, I wanted to visit a place called the Mysterious Bookshop. And it is, if you, again, I told you if you go to New York City to visit Barclay Rex, this is equally important, if not more. They have an entire wall of Sherlock Holmes. So obviously that was a place I had to be. I think I'm wearing the t-shirt. So I got there, I went there and I bought a t-shirt. I also bought a few books. But the place is owned by Otto Penzler, who, if you've, this is one of the books. These are all books that are actually published by and at the Mysterious Bookshop. It is a literal mecca for people who are interested in mystery literature. All the way back to having books by Poe when the genre actually was born, to Sherlock Holmes pastiches that were written, as soon as being released a couple weeks ago. Right? There's regular book signings there. They just have everything you ever want from a mystery novel, mystery short stories, any kind of mystery literature. This is the place you have to go. I picked up a few things. One of the things they do is they publish these little mini biblio mysteries. This is the only place you can get these. This is one written by Charles Todd, which is we've talked about the Ian Rutledge novels, which Charles Todd's actually a mother-son writing team, and sadly the mother passed away a couple years ago. But I'm looking forward to reading through this. This is a little short story that was just written for publication by the Mystery Bookshop. Also, Otto Penzler has been editing these the best mystery stories of the year. I bought 2024, which has an introduction by Anthony Horowitz, which is one of my favorite contemporary mystery writers. And I look forward to reading through this. But this is, as you can see there, a publication of the Mysterious Bookshop. And the one, I already had this book, but I had to buy it again because Otto Penzler did actually edit this and write the introduction. And he signed it for me. So for Dr. Watson, with the best canonical regards, Otto Penzler, the King of Bohemia. So that's something that'll stay with me forever. And I just wanted to share this experience with you from the coffees that I honestly didn't write down, but every little place that has a pastry has decent coffee. And I made sure from the get-go to order. They were primarily drip coffees, but next time I head to New York, I'm hitting the iconic coffee shops. We hit we just hit all the bakeries this time, and it was great. but I'll have more coffee content next time I visit, which won't be that long from now, because we did enjoy the trip so much that we really are interested in. And also, you know, my son is an aspiring artist. He's a junior in high school right now, but he's going to be looking for universities to, and I think we're going to try to parlay a visit to a couple of the New York universities. So maybe I'll be going as soon as next year. But I just wanted to say I'm sorry I haven't made a video in a while. I hope I touched on everything pretty well here. I'll make more. It's summertime. I've got more time to do this stuff. And with that, I hope you have I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a good time with your coffee, smokes, and literature. Have a great day.